RAM prices are going up, SSD prices are going up, and graphics cards are going up. But for $750, you can still build a realistic gaming PC that's easy to replicate.
And we've done a lot of builds at the $750 price point, but we think this one is the best yet, and it looks pretty dang good too. We'll tell you more about it after a word from today's sponsor.
Hey Matt, are you building a gaming PC in 2026?
Yeah, even though PC parts are very expensive right now, you can actually save a lot of money on your Windows activation to get good price to performance.
How? Isn't it like $200 for Windows?
Not with today's video sponsor, GVG Mall. They're our go-to option when activating Windows on any gaming PC.
Oh duh, GVG Mall. You just use the link in the description down below, pick your version of Windows, and then add it to the cart.
Be sure to use our exclusive discount code TB20 to save 25% off your Windows license purchase, which will get your cost down to $26.
So once you purchase your key, the code is then digitally sent to you, and then all you have to do is go into your settings, find the activation settings, and then copy and paste your Windows key, and then boom, it's activated.
So big thanks again to GVG Mall for sponsoring today's video. Now let's dive back into it, shall we?
So this is really easy to do at home. It's gonna be a pretty compact build. It's got a good upgrade path, and on top of that, it's $750, and there's not really any crazy tricks, but as we go over the parts, we will tell you guys a way to save a little bit of money with each part.
And in terms of expectations you can have with this gaming PC, for $750, you're good for entry-level 1440p with the graphics card we went with. If you're okay with some upscaling, you can play some higher settings 1440p as well, because you do have plenty of VRAM, and it has a little bit of an upgrade path based on the motherboard we have right here. We can get a slightly higher end CPU. In 1080p gaming performance will be absolutely perfect. So let's go ahead and talk about all the parts in this build, why we chose each part, and how you can save some money when planning your own $750 PC.
So we're switching things up to kick things off, because normally we go Ryzen 5 5500 at this price point, but when you're spending a little bit more, you can afford something like the Ryzen 5 5600, which actually is a pretty good upgrade because it's 6-core 12-thread, and it's $129 if you get the trade style CPU. That means it doesn't come with a cooler, and it doesn't come in typically an OEM box, and that's all good. You don't need any of that stuff because you're gonna get an aftermarket cooler, which I'll tell you about in a minute, but $129 is pretty good. If you want to save money, you can go with the 5500, especially if you do a Newegg bundle. That will save a pretty decent amount of money. The B580 is a card that can take advantage of Gen 4, and that's what's cool about the Ryzen 5600 is it actually has Gen 4 support. And it also has double the L3 cache, so you get Gen 4 in your NVMe and PCIe and double the L3 cache, so it can be pretty nice in gaming. Now for $1799, ID Cooling SE214XT V2. We love this cooler. The V2 is definitely worth it because it's much more sleek in my opinion, and it's ARGB. It matches with the rest of our build, and you guys are gonna love this case too. The whole build turned out pretty sick. We really like it. This is the ASRock B550M Pro 4, and it is $79.99. We love this board because it has pretty good expandability in the RAM slots. You actually get 2 4-pins for the CPU. You actually have a good power phase design for how cheap it is. So compared to Amazon, this is actually a really good price. And if you want a Wi-Fi board, maybe check out something from MSI, like one of their VDH boards, or just anything that has AC in the title. It's gonna get you Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Now, 2 of the things that we gotta save money on, SSD and RAM. Starting with the RAM, we had to go eBay because if you're not getting a combo on Newegg, you're gonna be spending a lot of money. So going to eBay, we got the Corsair Vengeance LPX 16 gig kit, 3200 megahertz, and it is just black, but we paid $69.99, which actually is not too crazy high over MSRP like the new RAM, because if you buy new RAM in this capacity, you're usually looking over $100. Now the last thing is, once again, we're worried about future expandability. SSDs just keep going up, so you might as well just go big. 1 terabyte SK Hynix from eBay, $110, but it is Gen 4, and that actually makes sense for once because it's not a 5500. It's a board and a CPU that supports Gen 4, so the drive will be nice and quick, load times will be quick, and you won't have to worry about upgrading that storage anytime soon.
Now the graphics card is the Intel Arc B580 that we paid $259 for. More specifically, we took advantage of Newegg's open box deal where you can get a slightly used or barely used graphics card from them with their limited warranty for lower prices than MSRP. Well, the funny thing is the price that we got it for is the old MSRP for the B580 at $259, but the one we got arrived in really good condition. It was in very basic packaging, but when you open it up, it still had the original peel on it. It was just missing all the I/O covers on the back, and everything else looked brand new. So I would definitely buy again from Newegg with the open box deals because, well, I think it was much better treated than an eBay seller that would probably charge you more money and give you a worse condition card. So definitely take advantage of Newegg's open box deals when you're looking for graphics cards. But if you want to go used and you want to avoid Intel Arc because it's not perfect, Intel Arc still has some issues, and spoiler, during the benchmarks, you will see a few issues here and there with the driver level and newer games that come to market. You can go something like an RTX 3070 or 2080 Super. Those are good options on the NVIDIA side on the used market that would slot in perfectly and give you NVIDIA feature sets while be it older generation cards. Now there is a rumor going around, and maybe it'll change by the time this video goes live, of a new AMD GPU, the RX 9050, which may slot into that price point and be competitive with something like the B570 or B580. So you may want to consider that GPU as well if you're watching it months into the future. But those are some options from AMD, NVIDIA, new and used, that I would recommend if you don't want to go Intel. Now for the power supply, we have the Raidmax 650 watt 80 plus gold power supply, which we got for $35 on Newegg, which the reason it's so cheap is this actually is an OEM/system integrator deal you can buy on Newegg, where it comes in very basic packaging, has no branding on it whatsoever, and it's designed for like pre-built companies like ours, PCBros.tech, where you can buy a PC today, can save some money by buying these because they don't need the original retail packaging when they buy the product. So getting for $35 is really good price performance. And again, something else to keep an eye out for on top of all those combos you can get on Newegg to really get good value in a market that's pretty expensive right now. And you might think a cheap power supply is a little bit scary. Well, it's a C-tier power supply, which normally in our eyes is a good power supply to go with, and especially for a build at this price range and spec performance, it's going to get the job done. And lastly, the case, which does make this build very good in the price performance department. This is the new Okinos Uno in the Canary colorway, which is a really cool case coming to the market. I believe the price is supposed to be $49. It's anywhere between $44 to $49. Be sure to use the links down below for up-to-date pricing and availability. But it's a nice micro ATX case that falls under their Aqua line, which we know and love. It has the fish tank style case. It comes with 3 ARGB fans pre-installed and this nice colorful basement that comes in different versions as well. I know it's black and white, and I think there's like a blue color as well. You can pick from their website and Amazon, but it's really cool. I like this color, and it was really easy to color coordinate using ASRock's Polychrome software with all the RGB in this system. We did use 2 ARGB headers on the motherboard to sync everything up because the fan on the ID cooling cooler was a little bit off compared to the case fans. So if you want to get it really close and not have them be tied exactly the same, I recommend separate ARGB headers so you can tune each one perfectly to match the color scheme. And overall, I really like seeing budget cases, and you know us with Okinos, we always rep their cases, and this one is very cool and probably one that's going to appear in a lot of budget builds here on the channel in the future. Now, before we get into benchmarking, there are a couple of housekeeping things you want to take care of with this build before you get into gaming. Once you install Windows and everything, that's important of course, you do want to go into the BIOS and enable a couple settings, like resizable bar, which is an essential setting for Intel GPUs to get the maximum performance. Out of the gate, this motherboard did not have it enabled, so you do have to go into the BIOS and enable that. Part of that is disabling CSM and enabling Secure Boot. You don't have to enable Secure Boot, but with all the games that's supported nowadays, might as well do that. So once you do that and you enable resizable bar, you can go into Windows and check the Intel drivers, and it'll show you that it is running at PCI Gen 4 and resizable bar is on. So now we know we're getting the maximum performance out of our GPU. But what is that performance? We're gonna dive into some games and show you.
All right, guys, we're actually testing out a new game. This is like the month of new games. This is Subnautica 2, and we're currently running 1440p, no frame rate limit, no VSync, and we're running medium settings. We're not using any upscaling at the moment either.
I was noticing the TSR, you're running low on oxygen, by the way.
Oh, am I?
No, we're not running TSR.
I'm running low on oxygen.
Yeah, low on
oxygen. I don't
oxygen.
really need that, actually.
You don't need oxygen.
Is this oxygen?
I don't think so.
I don't like reading, if you guys can't tell.
There you go, something's in there. But yeah, we're running TSR right now. We will turn it on though, because it only targets 30 or 60 FPS from what I've seen. So when you do enable it, you will be limited to that frame rate. But this is the kind of game anyways that I would assume all you really need is 60 FPS and you're pretty good if you aren't like far exceeding it, because it looks quite demanding on this B580.
Let's go fix it. Let's do some upscaling first too, see if we can get a little more FPS. Okay, TSR, yeah, that is kind of interesting.
That's all it says.
Let's see, so we'll just give it 60.
It goes over a little bit.
We got a little over.
Yeah, you can see the 1% low. Ha!
Okay, so I need to fix something, question mark?
It looks red, it looks bad. Oh yeah.
Red equal bad?
Red equals bad. Oh, we gotta hit the other one too.
Yeah, McAllister could not handle it. I bet he's freaking out watching this, or whoever's editing it, because it's so deep sea, you know? I mean, look at that.
And you're about to like choke from oxygen.
Can I speed boost? Let me back in.
Hell yeah.
Launch.
Oh, here we go, baby. I would say this one might be a 1080p game, I'll be honest with you, on the B580. We're doing 1440p for the most part, because I mean, you have the VRAM for it, but this is a demanding one.
It's crazy we're on medium settings too. I wonder, just out of curiosity, oh, I can't even change it now. I was gonna like put it to ultra settings to see what that, like see if it actually is more demanding or if the game's just not optimized well.
It could be.
Could be arc drive. That's a good.
Could be arc drivers. Oh, use launch from underwater.
Subnautica 2. Look at that. Yeah, so we're getting yeah, we're hitting our 60. Well, just real quick before we end this, I'm just curious to see
what it looks like on the higher details. It'll break the game.
Epic. Ooh, it may not apply all of it. It definitely applied something.
It applied something that's really low in that frame rate. Whew. Dang.
I mean, it does look. I was thinking about this. I feel like any game that involves water. I feel like that's a lot.
Well, I was saying
wow,
the recommended
really
specs are pretty high.
I mean, dude, that does look, I mean, look at this though.
Underwater, it looks pretty sick.
Yeah. Come here, little fishies.
Yeah, recommended is an i7 13700 or 7700X with a 3070 or 6700 XT.
Hey, I mean, 1440p, if you're okay with like medium settings, you can do within without upscaling. You are gonna get like console level FPS, but I feel like for a game like this, I think that's gonna be just fine.
Next game. All right, guys, we're in Jedi Survivor, a bit of an older AAA title, but one that is still pretty demanding. And you'll see we are running 1080p this time because it is a pretty demanding game, and I recommend you run a 1080p on this card, running medium details with some quality upscaling. So not super crazy in the upscaling department, but we are getting a little bit of help there, maintaining our 60 FPS. That's really what we're gonna be looking for in this game.
And we had a recording that didn't work, but that was 1440p, and we were getting what, like 50s, 60s?
Yes, and you can get away with that if you want to, but realistically, the B580, it's a good card, don't get me wrong, and at the price we got it in this market, pretty good for new market standards. It's just not necessarily, Jesus, it just destroyed everybody. It's just not necessarily going to be great in these games that are a bit more GPU bound, because right now we are using 10 gigs of VRAM at 1080p, and at 1440p we're using all 12 gigs. So it's nice to have, but even though this game on launch was pretty not optimized, I remember playing this on my 2080 Super with a 3700X, and I would get countless dips into like the 40 FPS range to where it wasn't super playable, and that was partly why I upgraded to like a 4070 Ti at the time. Now 1080p, it's running really good, looks decent now that the textures have loaded in. I would consider this pretty playable. Now we're almost to 12 gigs of VRAM. This thing is just eating up VRAM for no reason. At 1080p, that's honestly kind of ridiculous. Jax made the joke off camera, we're finding more Indiana Jones in the Great Circle games. This one feels like one of them, honestly. Bit older, but eats up a lot of resources for honestly no reason. So, what do you have to say? What do you have to say?
You're hopping. You're hopping. Is that a bazooka? A bazooki?
A bazooki. All right, 85 average, 1% low of 61. Not bad. Let's try another game.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are playing Apex Legends, and we are currently running pretty much like max settings. 1440p, games turned pretty high up.
Random low on effects.
Okay, well, we'll turn that up.
I don't know, I just saw that as just random.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know why it defaults to that. And now we're just locked pretty much at the 144 frame cap, please. All right, see, there's that new character ability. And now I can hit him with a little scanny scan, and it's on, baby.
Oh, that was a stutter right there.
There was a dip.
There was a dip.
I didn't even actually see it.
Slight stutter there, but I want to test an FPS title on some higher details, 1440p. Just showing you guys that the 5600 can still get down and boogie a little bit. Oh wow, why is it so bright?
Is this B580 stuff?
I don't know.
I don't think that's part of the game.
Ooh, that was a weird B580 bug right there.
Yeah, that was weird. Oh, it's back. It's the trees.
It's the weird downside with ARC cards. Sometimes they have weird driver things like this, weird random stuff. It's part of the experience with Intel ARC.
We call it an ARC thing, right?
It's an ARC thing. You wouldn't understand.
Aimbot right now?
I think he's aimbot.
Maybe
that's an ARC thing.
That's an ARC thing. The trees!
The trees!
The mountaintops! This is what 5G looks like if you had infrared on. Okay, where am I being shot from? All right, this is our last life. We gotta play it.
Pop that old.
Oh. Freckle.
I'm like, hey, what's up? Hello.
Oh, they got me. Oh, yeah, I don't know. There's a weird thing going on with the trees that I don't know if we've seen with other ARC cards, but it's an ARC thing. Look, it's doing it on the mini-map.
Huh.
It could just be a coincidence, but I've never seen this before until this card, so we're gonna say that could be an ARC thing.
One more game. All right, gamers, last game we're testing is Fortnite, currently running 1440p on performance mode. Far view distance, medium textures, just, up the quality just a little bit. We'll go to Humble Hills here, and we're gonna drop in. I thought I saw oh, there's another one. You stay away from me, Toon. I got a benchmark. This is the ultimate Fortniter's GPU, apparently. This is running pretty smooth.
Oh. Did you really want to find it?
I did want to find Shrimp Heaven.
I think the damage on that.
Just here to clean up, guys. Don't worry about me.
Don't worry about me.
Don't worry about this guy. And in this video, a lot of testing we did was definitely testing some more demanding games that really do show worst case scenario. There are a ton of games that will run fine on this setup, similar to what we're seeing in Fortnite. And that's the beauty of the system. $750, realistic scenario and what kind of configuration you can go with. But performance is looking good. Let's talk about that 30 mark score and wrap this video up.
So $750 was pretty solid for 1440p and 1080p gaming. Now obviously, Intel ARC, it does still have some issues, especially in like those newer titles, but as we've seen with Intel in the past, they get those driver issues ironed out pretty quick.
As we mentioned at the beginning of this video, there are other options you can plop in if you're willing to go in the used market for the GPU, which is recommended, especially if you're willing to go used for the other stuff like RAM and storage. Definitely consider that and look at 30 series NVIDIA or some 20 series NVIDIA stuff is still pretty good price performance.
Now for 30 mark time spy, we got a pretty solid score. We got 12,879 with the GPU getting 14,786. The CPU got 7,442. And with that score, it ends up being a 6 cent per point. So pretty solid overall. That's what we've been aiming for recently. And of course, we had to run CS2 at 1440p with low settings. We had an average of 234 FPS and a 1% low of 100 FPS.
So hopefully you guys enjoyed this PC build. If you're looking to copy this build yourself, link in the description down below will be affiliate links and they will help us out. Let us know if there's any other realistic PC builds you want to see here on the channel. We've actually been doing a lot more builds this time of year because we're realizing prices may be a little rough, but there are still ways to build solid gaming PCs in 2026, and we love delivering those PC build guides to you all.
And as always, we hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you check out our other 2 YouTube channels and also our twitch.tv/ToastyBros, and do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
See you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
You should check out this PC at PCBros.tech because believe it or not, all the builds that we do on the channel end up at PC Bros.
PC Bros is our PC selling business. You might wonder, where do all the PCs go? They go to PC Bros, especially all the other stuff that we get as well. Laptops, handhelds, really anything. Keyboards as well. Use code ToastyBros on checkout. You will save 3% on your next purchase. Check out the marketplace as well. A lot of cool stuff there. See you guys later. Goodbye.